Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Hello and welcome to the July 2nd Healthy Neighborhood Advisory Committee meeting, 2025. We are calling this meeting to order at 5:32 p.m. We have a quorum here with, Ari Lowe, Caitlin Eunice, Mark Hamilton, Chibuzur Oka, am I saying that right? And Emmanuel Munez. I'm not seeing Sharif or Jessica. That is okay. Do we have a note taker? Deanna?
Mike.
Hi, Sharif.
I'm taking notes.
Hello, everyone.
Agenda item number 2, approval of minutes. Did anyone have any comments about the previous meeting minutes? Can I have a motion to approve them?
Motion to approve previous meeting minutes.
Second?
I would like to second that.
Love that. All in favor say yes. Aye? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item number 3, public appearances for non-agenda items. I don't see anybody on Zoom for this, and I'm assuming that our friends in council chambers are for the agenda item, number 5A. Lovely. Number 4, agenda review. So for our agenda today, we have some 2024 Healthy Neighborhood Grant Program presentations. We have report from department, and we have announcements and adjournment. Any modifications to the agenda? Love it.
I just have a quick question on it. So I see that we have, I think, River Food or Allied Food Pantry here. But sorry, I might not be speaking close to the mic. But so was it a kind of an in-kind invitation to come? Because I know is the list that we have today, the 5 in the list, is that all that we donated to last year? Or was it just like a friendly invitation to come? Or was it part of the stipulation of the donations given or the grants given? How does that work out? Sorry, I'm a newer member to the board.
Yeah, so we gave out money to more than 5 organizations. And Deanna can jump in if I'm wrong, but my understanding was that the requirement would be to come to the first presentation when we're trying to allocate funds. And any organizations that are able to come to this final presentation, we are so grateful for, and we really appreciate the reflection, the feedback. My understanding is that it is not required, since the organizations also provide reports submitted.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if Jessica can hop on there and fill us in. Please, Jessica.
Yeah, I can go ahead. Hold on here, let me get my camera. So the organizations, they are not necessarily required. It is on the grant reporting document. And we have 2 dates for them to come, so they could either come tonight and then again on August 6th. So I believe we have 6 signed up for the 6th, maybe 7, because one might not be able to come tonight. They're dealing with some family issues.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, I was, since I wasn't on the board last year, I was watching, FACTv does an excellent job of airing these all on their YouTube channel. There you go. And there was a lot of exciting developments and things that they were planning to do with the grants that were given last year. And it'd be really exciting to go full circle and see. But I didn't know that there's going to be 2 days. So thank you.
I actually had forgotten that too. So thanks for the question. And thank you for the clarification, Jessica. And I'm also looking back in my notes, and it looks like we had 14 organizations last year who originally applied for and received money. We have our first, I think, our first presenter. We are just so thankful to everyone who's able to come here and help us reflect on the really wonderful services that you provide and the benefit to our residents that your organizations provide, and your wonderful volunteers, of course, too. Yeah.
And can I forward the slides this way?
So just give me a little sign and we'll move ahead.
Should I start?
Oh, I don't know if I've got you. There you go. Thanks.
Okay, now you can hear me? Great. Hi, thanks for having me here this evening. My name is Janice Ferguson. I'm on the leadership team of the Allied Food Pantry. We are actually a program of Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, but we have been established before the pantry that's in Good Shepherd in the Allied Dunsmarsh community about 20 years ago. So we've been there for quite some time, since 1998. The pantry offers culturally considered fresh produce, meat, eggs, milk, and non-perishables, but we are also a hub for service providers to meet and offer services to our residents. And I think that is the original part of our pantry, is that we do not just offer food, but we offer a place to meet neighbors, have coffee, participate in story time by the libraries, get your blood pressure checked, learn to garden, talk to your public health nurse, all kinds of things when you walk in our door. We do serve the Allied Dunsmarsh neighborhood and surrounding areas. So we serve Allied Dunsmarsh at 53711, but we also serve the 3 priority neighborhoods, Belmar Renaissance on the Park, Verona West, and North Fitch Hatchery Road. So what is our program? So all of the funds that you gave us last year, which was $6,000, it was important to for the health and well-being of our residents, and that we did purchase culturally considered foods. I say considered because we are a small food pantry and we are open only on Wednesdays, and we have very low amount of storage space. We did our very, very best to do quarterly surveys with our residents and then purchase the non-perishable foods and perishable foods like halal meat and as any additional produce that we could logistically purchase that our residents wanted in response to those surveys. Our efforts, though, also went to offering opportunities for community building and connection among the community, activities and education. Then I'll show you some pictures in the next slide. So you can see here we had a Food as Medicine event that we planned all year last year and had Foodwise at the event. Boys and Girls Club participated in the event. We had Ashe Cooperative come and do adult workshops around the cultural and medicinal properties of food. And that was held in January, but we planned it all last year with our partners. We also have had community health workers in the room every week doing different types of education on diabetes, on things like how to get rid of bed bugs, which is a big problem in the neighborhood. We've had our public health nurse in the room doing reproductive health education. We've had safe communities in the room talking about opioid addiction, and other topics. We've also had the Marlboro Garden in the room, making sure people know how to grow their own food and where they can grow it, and Centro Hispano talking about things like navigating healthcare insurance. So lots of folks in the room, but the community health workers and the Joining Forces for Families social worker is there every week. So by the numbers, we were able to serve over 450 unique households and 1,500 unique people from Fitchburg in 2024. And we actually had over 250 new households from Fitchburg priority neighborhoods. We welcomed up to 8 organizations into the pantry every month, 65 visits in total over the year, offering education, resources, and activities to our residents. And 25% of our volunteers this year are residents, and we're always looking for more people to engage in their own community. So we are a very small food pantry, but we have a big impact. We don't have an official community center in Allied Duns Marsh, so it's really important that we are this hub for residents. And I just wanted to let you know that your funds have led us to be do some interesting and wonderful new projects. We're doing a learning garden this year with the Allied Wellness Center, so we are teaching people to grow their own food, and that came from a City of Madison neighborhood grant. So your funds have gone and expanded and done and helped us do new things. We also were ready and eligible to participate in the Second Harvest Cultural Food Grant or cohort, so we got $5,000 this year to continue buying non-perishable, culturally considered foods. Because of the surveys we did last year. And then we also, we found from our residents that one of the most important resources we had in the room, other than the people from the community, the providers, was the fresh produce. And last year, as you probably have heard, that Second Harvest lost all that farm to food bank funding. And so we worked really hard to partner with Crossroads Community Farm. And this year we are purchasing ourselves $60,000 worth of produce through an EPIC grant, which we worked really hard through those surveys we did. For you, we had that data to then say, hey, this is what's most important to our families. They want to eat healthy, and we don't have access to that local organic produce anymore. And so we were able to get those funds. And so it is coming into our rooms right now, which is amazing. So those dollars that you gave us went a long way for future planning. So thank you.
Thank you. And are there any questions from the committee?
I think you cut it, or I think you said a little bit about the Farm to School grant program, but I'd like to know, since March 6th of 2024, how different has food sourcing, like how much has the Allied Food Bank been impacted geopolitically? I think that's the word. In terms of food sourcing, like top of mind, I think of like price of eggs and, but can you kind of explain maybe how food banks are being impacted by national and local issues?
Absolutely. So last year we raised $44,000 for our budget, and we were receiving free milk, eggs, and many types of meat from Second Harvest Food Bank, and we received almost $100,000 worth of in-kind produce to us. This year, all of that disappeared. So we are, as of July 1st this year, we're paying full price for eggs and milk and meat. And we are also having no access to that free farm to food bank produce. So our budget went from $44,000 to close. We don't even know for sure yet because it's so new to us. Our budget this year, but it's about $165,000 is what we can estimate. So we've had to do some major fundraising this year, and so we really appreciate that renewed grant from the Healthy Neighborhood Grant. It's made a huge difference, but it's been a real challenge because it's not just the funding, it's also the sourcing, as you mentioned, because we were reliant on Second Harvest for so many things, and because we don't have a lot of storage, they were bringing a lot of things same day. So anything that we do get from suppliers, we have to have arrive the day of the pantry, so that because we don't have a lot of storage to put it in coolers and freezers afterwards. But we also have great partnerships. Badger Prairie Needs Network is a wonderful partner. They've taught us a lot. They also will receive anything for us if we overestimate what we need. So, it's really important for us to work together, and that's what we do. We're not competing. We're trying to feed the community. So, and we do different things. So, yeah, it's a challenge.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good to know. Thanks.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Is Active Youth Wisconsin here? I'm looking on Zoom and I don't see anyone from them, but maybe I'm not seeing people in the waiting room.
Yeah, they have a 5:50 time slot.
Yep. So we might have to wait for 3 minutes and see if they come.
Yes.
I will say Amanda had reached out to me letting me know that she was having family issues. I'm not positive she would be on or not. She didn't ever, I didn't hear back from her saying if she was going to take this time slot or a time slot on August 6th. But I have reached out to the other individuals and organizations planning to present, asking them to hop on early if they have the chance.
Do we have the PowerPoint presentation or slides from Active Youth Wisconsin that we could just look at?
I do not have anything from Active Youth.
I don't either. Amanda had reached out saying that she might do a write-up, but I hadn't received anything before the meeting.
Okay. I guess while we have the time, Jessica or Deanna, could you run us through as much as you know of our upcoming meetings, like when they're happening or like which months we're not having meetings and what we might be thinking for those upcoming meetings?
I think Jessica could, yeah.
Yeah, I can go ahead with that. So our next meeting will be August 6th, and that'll be the second half of the presentations. And then following the August meeting, that we don't have a plan to meet in September. And then our final meeting as of right now would be October 1st, where we would discuss what's happening with the strategic plan update. We have talked about potentially adding another meeting for this year, but nothing's been confirmed.
Thank you for that information. I have one more question. Have the materials that the organizations sent as far as like final reports or final summaries, has that been made available to committee members or I didn't see it. I don't know if it's there.
Are you asking about the reporting from the 2024 grantees?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to ask. Thank you. Yes.
So their reporting was due at the beginning of the year. in January, I received all of that and looked through their final reporting, and then we dispersed the funds. But this being my first year, I'm not sure if you received those reports last year. I guess, Deanna, were the organization's reports sent out to the committee members?
I don't recall that we have. There's no reason why we couldn't. We certainly could put them up on OneDrive or even post them up on the web. That's not a problem. Yeah, we could do that.
That would be lovely. Yeah, I don't recall that ever happening in the past, but it would be great to look through.
Yeah, I'll make a note here to get those out to you guys, because we've had this for a little while.
Getting better every year. Thank you very much.
And then I did receive an email from Amanda. She's not able to make it tonight, so we're gonna go ahead with the Catholic Multicultural Center now that Laura's on.
Amazing.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Let me pull up my screen here. All right. Can you hear me okay? Good. All right.
Yes.
So I'm going to tell you about how these wonderful grant funds helped us provide support for our food pantry and classes for our immigrant neighbors. All right. So CMC's motto is making a difference one person at a time. The Healthy Neighborhoods Initiative definitely made a difference to us. The goal of our project last year was to ensure that low-income immigrants from around the world would have access to the education they need to thrive in daily life and to the food resources they need to achieve stability for themselves and their families. The priority neighborhoods that we served were Verona Road West and North Fish Hatchery. Our objectives of this grant were to teach 35 students English as a second language for at least 1 month and to distribute food to 100 unduplicated households from Fitchburg. And to achieve this work, we were granted and used $14,000. So the activities that we did with this grant were offer our twice weekly food pantry. About 10 to 15% of pantry visitors at any given moment are Fitchburg residents. 80% of all pantry visitors are immigrants from all over the world. In 2024 overall, our pantry saw over 4,000 visits, which served 872 households, representing 2,160 individuals. Just over 14% of households were new to the CMC food pantry last year, which to us indicates a growing demand for food. We also offered English as a second language classes in the Verona West neighborhood at our building in Fitchburg. We started these classes for the first time at that building after offering them many, many years at our main location on Belt Street. So we got them started in late 2023. We started offering these classes Monday and Wednesday evening, 6 to 7:30 p.m. And all of our ESL classes, regardless of location, are coordinated by staff, but they are completely taught by volunteer teachers with the assistance of volunteer helpers. So how did we use these grant funds to support our food pantry and ESL program? In the food pantry, we purchase food. Simple as that. Demand is up in our pantry and all pantries in Dane County over these past couple years. So these funds helped us purchase food, primarily from Second Harvest, and also buying halal meat, which was proportionate to serving nearly all of our Fitchburg guests for 1 year. With the ESL, since we had never offered classes at our Fitchburg building, last year was just a lot of getting set up to be able to offer classes in a new space and to safely do that for evening classes where it's dark half of the year. So the grant supported some of our ESL coordinators' time in planning these classes, promoting them, recruiting and signing up students. It also provided a lot of the infrastructure we needed to start these classes at a brand new location for us. So that included books and other materials, laptops, these days almost all of our teachers pull up online resources that we need a laptop to project from. We didn't even have a whiteboard over there, so we needed that. Our lighting at night was pretty subpar because we hadn't previously offered any programming there in the evening, so we needed to improve our outdoor lighting for safety. And finally, we needed to improve signage in the building because, again, we haven't offered activities like this, so we didn't have a way to direct people to know where to go to the classes once they found the building. So the outcomes we were able to achieve with this support in our pantry during the grant period, which was April to December last year, overall in that time frame, we served 1,783 individuals from anywhere. We looked up how many people had a Fitchburg address, and it was about 10%, so you can estimate that about 177 individuals from Fitchburg were served. When we looked at their addresses, we found that about 90% were from priority neighborhoods, primarily the Fish Hatchery North. Over at the ESL classes, we served 42 students last year at our Fitchburg building. And for context, between both of our buildings, we served 158. So that's a pretty sizable portion of students served. So these classes, again, they were offered in a priority neighborhood that previously did not have ESL regularly. We estimated that about 2/3 of the students coming were from the priority neighborhood. In fact, a lot of students just walked over to class from the nearby apartments. Our program coordinator noted that a major outcome from these classes was that students showed noticeable improvement in their English skills. And that means that they have a lot more opportunity socially, day-to-day life, things like going to the store, attending meetings for their children's school and things like that. Also economically, studies have shown and kind of common sense shows too that you can get a better job the more, the stronger English skills that you speak. So in summary, these funds that you so generously granted to us helped us fund and solidify a new program in a priority neighborhood. Thanks to this grant, the ESL classes at CMC Fitchburg are well established. They are now a regular ongoing program, which is expanding service to an underserved and high needs area. And as demand for food pantries everywhere continues to rise with these funds, CMC could purchase enough food for roughly all of its Fitchburg guests. And in addition, by having these funds go through CMC Pantry, we were able to offer pantry guest service in a welcoming and culturally sensitive manner, often in our guests' first language, if they spoke Spanish, Arabic, Portuguese, or French. So thank you again for your wonderful support. And I guess if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from our committee?
Yeah, I got a quick one for you, Laura. Can you explain a little bit how you source your participants in the food pantry? How did they find out about the food pantry and the ESL classes? And can you explain to me a little bit more during the ESL classes, people have different native tongues and how they kind of come together to fit a class size? Or is it different classes for people that are native Portuguese and native Swahili versus native Spanish? Or how does that, just for my I guess, interest?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are both great questions. So I'll start with the first one as far as how do people find out about our services, you know, the food pantry, ESL. So it's a variety of different ways. Like word of mouth is a pretty strong driver for most of our programs. So you know, one person comes to a class or the food pantry, they get services they need in a way that they like, and then they tell others about it. We always keep our listings up to date on United Way 211, which is a really important referral source, both directly for people looking for help on their own or for other service providers looking to see what is out there. We do a lot of cross referral within our own programs. We have a lot of different programs at CMC, so we're always telling, you know, let's say someone comes to the food pantry, then that might be where we tell them that we have English classes or vice versa. With the Fitchburg ESL in particular, since that was a new program, we had to do a bit more targeted outreach. So I know our ESL coordinator spent a lot of time going to different places in that neighborhood, like the Meadow Ridge Library and Neighborhood Center, and doing outreach to other service providers or even more general service providers like Madison College to let people know, hey, we have this new service going on here. So that's how we get the word out about the programs. And for everything we do at CMC, anyone who is in need of a service is welcome to come and use it. And we just want to make that process as easy and straightforward as possible. For your second question about how do you teach ESL where maybe no one in the room has a language in common. So there are particular strategies specific to teaching English as a second language, with the assumption that the teacher and the students might not have a language in common, and or the students amongst themselves might have several different first languages going on. So we like to be a teacher, even though they're volunteers, like they have to either come in with some kind of background and training in either teaching or ideally teaching English as a second language, so they know some of those strategies, or they can start as a helper, kind of learn how things go and become a teacher. So by working with people who are well qualified, we make sure we can handle multiple languages in one room. And a lot of our policy anyway is like immersion is the quickest way to learn. So even if there is a language in common between teacher and student, we want to stay in English as much as possible, because if you're switching to their first language all the time, then they're not learning as fast. So, and then there's other strategies, like for example, like for the very beginning students, like we have something called a picture dictionary. So like, how do you tell them what a word is if you don't have a language in common and you can't describe it in other words? You can use pictures. And I guess, you know, that's a bit old school these days. Like now there's like online resources. So hopefully that answers your question. But if you have any follow-up questions, just let me know.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, so the River Food Pantry. Is anyone here for the River Food Pantry?
I believe that would be Ryan. Ryan, are you ready to present for, well, no, you're with the river, correct?
Correct. I'm the grants manager for the River Food Pantry.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we can go ahead and get you started.
Awesome. Let's see. All right, there's the, just real quickly, how do you want me to control the slides?
You know, I believe you have control.
Ryan, if you just want to let me know and I'll move ahead the slide whenever you're ready.
Okay, great. Well, hello everyone. I am Ryan Hawley. I am the grants manager for the River Food Pantry. For the grant we'll be talking about, this was for 2024's Healthy Neighborhoods grant for our Munch program, and specifically for the services that Munch provided in the priority areas in the Fitchburg area. You want to go to the next slide, please? So Munch started in 2016 as a meals program for low-income and underserved children. We began on the north side, and then in intervening years, we have steadily expanded. I think it was about 2022, we made a kind of a major expansion into the south side of Madison and into Fitchburg. And so currently, Munch visits 25 different neighborhoods, including 6 different distribution locations in the priority neighborhoods that are part of this grant. The program now runs 5 routes Monday through Friday. During the grant period, mostly we kind of shifted recently from Tuesday through Saturday. So during the grant period that we're talking about, it was mostly Tuesday through Saturday that the Munch routes were running. And there on the screen, you can see that those are kind of some of the examples, like both the priority neighborhoods and the colored areas, and then the distribution locations where like some of our Munch routes actually drop off. To be specific here, like the distribution locations included Belmar Hills Park, Boys and Girls Club at Genowine, Boys and Girls Club McKenzie, New Fountains Apartments, Southdale Park, the Fairways Apartments, and Highline Senior Apartments, and the Pines Apartments. So those were the
Just a moment, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Mind if I interrupt there? I cannot see your presentation currently. I don't know if my team can help me with that.
Let me see if I can.
Right now, I have
directly.
you on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that there's one screen that was where the council was located, but like, let me see if I can share.
Yeah, we could do it that way,
There we
Sheriff.
go. Got it.
Okay, you can
Got
see
it
it
now.
Awesome. So yeah, that map there is where you can see the priority neighborhoods marked out, and then where our services distribution locations fall within those. Next slide, please. So for the grant up here. So the grant itself, from the grant period, we served with grant funds was May 1st, 2024 through October 31st, 2024. And during that time, we served 6,680 meals in the Munch area, right? So like overall for last year, like Munch served about 59,000 meals. So this is just the chunk that was served within the priority neighborhoods during the grant period. So on average, Munch served about 117 individuals at the Fitchburg stops each week. Like some weeks there'd be more, some weeks a little bit less, but that's the average. And we estimate that approximately 715 unduplicated individuals were served at the stops during our regular Munch activities. And we get that by, we anticipate there's about a 20% turnover rate week to week. And so when we kind of took that across and applied it to the weekly totals, like that's how we came up with the unduplicated individuals. For a lot of the Rivers programs, we require registration, but because Munch is aimed primarily at serving children, many of whom are not accompanied by parents or guardians when they come to the Munch truck, we don't require registration from them because they're most significantly, or a significant portion are minors. That being said, like Fitchburg does see a higher than usual percentage of adult participants, probably due to the location of most stops being close to low-income family housing apartments, and where it's easier for people to participate. And then a lot of those Munch stops last summer were targeted over like the noon lunch hour and stuff. So that also means that more adults were, rather than in the middle of work or something, they were kind of scheduled to be more available during the time. So that's kind of, we see about probably half and half with children and adults at the Fitchburg locations, whereas other Munch locations are more primarily children. And that varies a little bit too from particular distribution sites. So some distribution sites might be primarily children, and some might be more primarily adults, but all in all, it adds up to about evenly split for these locations. Next slide, please. So one other thing to note for last summer is that we launched our new Munch vehicle. That's what you can see in the photo there. We began serving out of that in May. Previously, we just had a van that we were just kind of a passenger van or transit van that we were operating out of. The new vehicle, in addition to being much larger and just having more storage space and overall, has built-in coolers, a built-in freezer, a heating cabinet, and quick access produce display. And so really the capacity really jumped up with the introduction of this new vehicle. It's also allowed us to start serving a variety of different types of meals. So before, again, like we were serving out of a van, it's kind of, you had sandwiches and coolers and some sides that were shelf stable for that. But now, because we have the heating cabinet, for example, we can serve hot meals out of this. So I know we've done pizza, lasagna, some soups, some different things like that out of the van or the new truck. And then like with the cold and freezing cabinets, that allows us to occasionally take out things like ice cream or other options that simply were not possible, especially during the summer in previous years for the Munch program. And so this vehicle, kind of along with the new pantry facility that we're set to open early next year, is going to be the foundation for continued growth for the program. Next slide, please. And there you see the distribution window for the produce in action. That was on towards the back end of the van. Like we essentially, like we just can roll it right up. And then like this provides bonus produce in addition to what people get in the meals. Like we aim to make sure that all Munch meals are nutritionally balanced. So they come with an entree, a couple sides, some fresh produce, a drink, maybe a treat for the kids. But like in addition, aside from the meals, like we try to provide additional healthy produce. And that could either be like fruits and some things that you see there, oranges, bananas, apples, that sort of stuff where kids might just eat it for an additional snack later. Or like some things are more like onions, potatoes, apple or limes, mangoes, all sorts of different stuff. And some of that might be more that they take it home. So that way their family can then have some extra ingredients to prepare in their family meals. So we don't expect kids to eat everything just as is, but like we try to give them kind of a diverse range of options to support a variety of different needs while the truck is out there visiting the neighborhoods. Let's see. Next slide, please. So regular Munch operations were kind of the 1/2 or like kind of 3/4 of the grant funds, I believe. And that's where kind of we did throughout the grant period. But the other portion of grant funds went to support our inaugural evening out in Southdale Park. So this was a resource fair that we targeted specifically towards Southdale communities. Munch, of course, was the kind of foundation. So the Munch truck was there providing meals and kind of getting people used to and knowing that the Munch truck was going to be coming to some of these locations throughout the summer in Southdale and beyond. But really, like, it was a chance for people to not just learn about Munch, but a variety of different activities. And so we had 16 different organizations in addition to the river that worked on or like provided information to people attending. Pull it up here. So that was well beyond, like, our initial estimate for the grant was that we'd get 5 to 10 partnering organizations. Well, it turns out that a lot of people were really interested in a lot of other organizations in the area. So we had, that included both government departments, so like the fire department, police department were there, then a lot of other private services from the area were around. Let's see, so if you want kind of a quick list, like that included Boys and Girls Clubs, Briar Patch Youth Services, CareNet, Horsey, Newbridge, Senior Center stuff, Joining Forces for Families, NAMI, the Mental Health Operations, Operation Fresh Start, Reach Dane, Rooted, Safe Kids, the Tenant Resource Center, and the YWCA. So all told, we had about 200 local residents attend the event, which we thought was quite good for, especially for an inaugural event of that sort. We also provided kind of a bounce house for the children and some snacks and like kind of fun activities, trying to aim at like introducing people to all the different resources that were available to them, and then some live music as well, that was all of which was help supported by the grant for that year. And next slide. Yeah, that's some photos of the event itself that day. And then this year we're building on that because of the success of that program. And so we decided to push it back because we weren't sure about funding for this year until pretty close to the beginning, and we didn't want to make it so that it was difficult for other organizations to participate, and we want enough time to kind of get the word out to the community about the event. And so we have scheduled that to take place in August this year, and we're hoping to bring back many of the organizations that were here last year, maybe some new organizations, and then again really trying to get at least match and hopefully exceed the number of local residents that will be there and learning about the different resources available to them. And next slide. And there you can see the previous munch van versus our current truck that we serve meals out of currently. And then in the photo, how well you can see them, but that is our operations director, Helen, and then our munch coordinator, Marina. That's kind of a quick overview of everything about the program and the impact of the grant funds, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys would have.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from the committee?
Thank you for the presentation. Just a quick question. The lunch truck, do they maintain the time for each day they go to these particular neighborhoods?
Yes, so we have a schedule of all the different stops that we go to and what days that we'll be there. We typically update that about 3 times a year. So oftentimes we have a spring schedule, a summer schedule when kids are out on break for the school, and then a fall kind of winter schedule. And so, but yes, every stop is somewhere between, I think, 20 and 40 minutes, depending on kind of what the demand is and where it's located and how many other stops we have to get to in that day. We do try to bunch things as much as possible around either lunch hours or kind of after school programs. It's a little different in the summer because we know that kids are off throughout the day. So that's why Fitchburg, where there are more adults, we might concentrate it around the lunch hours, so it kind of is available for them as well. And then other locations that it's primarily kids, say outside of schools or daycare centers, things like that. We try to get things about when they would be coming out of that, especially during the school year and things. So we really think about the schedule and figure out when are people actually going to be there, so we're not just showing up to stops that people are well, it'd be great to have that program, but you come at times that we're not actually there or are not convenient for us.
I also have a question about the schedule. You mentioned that you switched from Tuesday to Saturday to Monday to Friday, and I would have imagined that Saturday would have been pretty popular, but can you tell me a little bit about that change and why?
Sure. It's mostly a capacity issue. We have a limited number of staff and volunteers. One thing that we found especially difficult was getting volunteers to be available consistently on the weekends. We also have to we are pretty picky about volunteers that might be going out on lunch just because they're interacting with a lot of children. And so we want to make sure that the people that we're sending out there are trustworthy, reliable, we know them. So a big part of that was our munch coordinator was saying that it was becoming really difficult to find volunteers that would be available. And without the volunteers, serving the amount of kids and people that we have to serve with the munch truck becomes very challenging. So it was decided that as a result of that primarily, that we were going to shift it more within our regular work week when we have a bit more overlap. So if we need to pull staff or other people that are available, that's an option for us rather than having, because we definitely don't want to have to skip the routes or anything. And the other portion of that, again, is we want to be reliable. And so we're looking at ways that what's the most efficient use of time between different routes and when different locations say that they need us there.
Thank you. All right, seeing no more questions, we thank you very much. And we are moving on next to the Madison Reading Project.
Is this
Oh, just get your green button. Middle
you
of
just have to hold that
The whole time?
or I can
You're
hold
good
it.
now. Yep.
There you go.
I'm good to go?
Yep.
My name is Deirdre Steinmetz, and I'm here with my co-executive director, Rowan Childs. We are here with Madison Reading Project to talk about the impact from the Healthy Neighborhoods Grant in 2024. Do you want to?
Sure. So I can give a brief summary of the grant, and then I'll also let Deirdre give you some really good details. So the funding from the City of Fitchburg through the Healthy Neighborhood Grant supported our free book fair services in 6 elementary schools, bringing a fun and engaging reading experience to school-age kids. Reading is a life-changing skill that every child deserves to have. These book fairs that we provide are not only to support readers by bringing joy to reading experiences, but they also build confidence, increase reading engagement, and empower children and youth with the knowledge that shapes their future. Some really good data is that we collected is the children that we served in the Fitchburg priority neighborhoods was 2,026. Children served in Fitchburg non-priority neighborhoods was 676. And in that program as a whole in Dane County was 9,404.
So thank you all for funding this opportunity. The program was new to our organization and piloted in late 2024. I'm like getting 2023. So 2024 was really our first year providing these services. So the funding was critical in helping us expand the program. One unforeseen impact of the funding was really the learning curve that our staff experienced, getting to know the Fitchburg community, the very interesting district mapping and figuring out where kids are going to schools and which schools to serve. So one unforeseen impact, in addition to kids getting access to really amazing books and the reading experiences we provide, we also learned more about Fitchburg as an organization. And although we're named Madison Reading Project, we serve Dane County. And it's really our goal as a young and growing organization to continue to get to know our community and all the wonderful things that are happening. A lot of the folks in the presentations earlier were partners of ours. We're constantly learning, so that is one of the benefits of being a part of this funding. So we were able to expand our services to additional schools in that first year of programming, which was amazing. We gave away a ton of books, I think like 3,700 books to kids. But we also, one of the benefits of this free book fair program is we go into schools, every child in the entire school gets a book. It's brand new. They have many options to choose from. We have books in languages other than English. We coordinate with schools to make sure that kids' identities and languages are represented in the materials that we provide. But we also, one of the beautiful things about giving books out in the community is we get to connect with tons of educators, and educators could mean a parent, grandparent. In this case, these were public school teachers. So just the impact that this one service has in the moment is maybe a kid getting a book that they really love, and that is so incredibly awesome. But also one of the benefits that we've found is bringing these services into schools where kids are, where teachers are. We're getting touch points with many more people than just the kids in the school. And so when teachers and school staff, administrators and families know about the work we're doing in schools, they're more likely to access our other literacy services. We serve not just school-age kids. We have programs for children birth to 18. And we also have a program specifically for teachers to build classroom libraries. And so we have a wide range of services. So while we're in there, we're also teachers also get to pick a book. That's not always a part of the traditional book fair, and it's a part that we love because we're like, you get a book too, and they're always like,
what? Or take 5, you know. We've got a lot of kids. So there is also that ongoing impact of the classroom library services that we offer that are very much connected to these free book fairs. Let's see, we talked a little bit about this. In general, the free book fairs, the major impact is giving readers, young readers, access to brand new books, diverse books, to build their own personal collections. Kids we know are more likely to engage in the reading process when they're choosing their own materials. They're also more likely to read the books if it is in a fun environment and something they're excited by. In the academic setting, where we hold these book fairs in public schools, reading can actually be kind of stressful for kids, and so it's absolutely critical to bring in fun opportunities like this for readers to have a little bit more joy in the reading process and to give teachers a little bit of a break, and to bring some joy in their day too. Kids are, affirmed and validated with the book selections we offer. They can see themselves in the materials. They can see their stories in the stories we share. And they get to choose their own materials. It's not everyone in the classroom is reading the same material. They get to pick it out, and that increases the reading engagement as well. So that's the summary. Those are our stats, and if you have any questions, we'd love to answer them. Did I touch on everything?
Yeah.
I am curious to know how much youth voice influences your initial picks of books to be presented.
Tons. So it depends on the age we're serving. But that's one of the things our staff are really great at, and we have an organizational value of listening and learning. And so while we're out in the community, we're always asking kids, and kids are constantly asking us for certain titles of books. And at this point, we're providing and purchasing new books. We're really able to curate those lists to the folks that we're serving. And it's not always the same, and we do connect with the teachers in case there is a kid that is just really excited about this one particular thing. I remember in one instance, the kid wanted a certain volume of a certain book, and we didn't have it with us. But I was able, because we're local, to run over and grab it from the book center and bring it back that day. So we really do try to lean into that listening and learning component, and kids are talking to us about books all day long, so that's how we do our research, which is honestly, it's almost better than like reading library journals, and those are amazing too. But for this particular program, and kids know what they want to read, and it's not always what their teachers or their parents want them to pick out. But they're going to be really excited about that book, and the book is likely to be read. So that's why we do this program, and we're so excited to learn more about Fitchburg kids and where they're going to school and learning to read.
I apologize for just jumping in with a question. Are there any questions that the committee would like to ask?
I have one that's kind of a little bit I have one's a little bit off the cuff here, but my kids are older, as you can see, since I'm older. But we had a whole basement full of kids' books that were in good shape that we took over to the library here. And I'm not sure what the library does with them. They do take donations. I don't know if you've talked to our library staff and what they do with donations like that, and then do you re-gift is the word I would use. Any of those, if they're in good shape, to help your selection for kids. That's just, I know it's not part of the grant, but I'm just, as a citizen of Fitchburg and knowing that we took a whole box of books over there.
We have a program for that.
It's another program. Okay.
When we started, we were using all donated books. In the pandemic, that changed because we couldn't take donations, and we had a goal of really wanting kids to. I forgot my bookmarks. I brought bookmarks for everyone. We wanted kids to have the new book feeling, and getting something brand new. And also, there is something special about people being able to expand the life of a book. I know I have a 7-year-old, and she's grown out of a lot of really great books that I'm lucky enough to bring back into our book center. But we did start a program last year, building, stocking, and maintaining little free libraries in the community. I think we're supporting 52 free book giving boxes or shelves indoors and outdoors in Dane County. And that is a really great way for us to use used book materials, and we have guidelines and all of that stuff. But we do want, and we especially want kids to donate their books, because it is a great way for kids and families to engage in community and in the giving process. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, I just have a quick question on I guess sourcing. I think I used this word already. Did I interrupt you? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't. I should have looked around and see if anybody else was going to ask a question.
You guys are so polite.
Books, especially new books nowadays, are pretty expensive. Like, I think I went to Target to buy The Giving Tree for a young nephew of mine, and I almost had to put like a mortgage on it. It was like $22 for like The Giving Tree, which at a local free library or like a cheaper, it should be not that expensive. But I guess this goes to like, how are you sourcing kind of like these new books and giving kids that valuable new book kind of like feeling? Is there like partnerships with like distributors or authors, or can you explain without giving away the secret sauce, I guess?
The nature of our business, we do receive discounts, and we work with discount sellers. So we spend a lot of time scouring for deals. There is a wonderful bookseller here in Madison called Books for School, and they are a provider of discounted books. But we also purchase books from a few other distributors where we're able to receive our books at a deep discount, which is wonderful, because it would be very challenging to give that new book feeling if we were
Paying retail.
paying retail for all the books.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your efforts. Just do you guys capture the kids with disability? Like, try to get them special books to the kids with disabilities or learning disabilities?
Yep. Actually, inclusion has been a really big focus for our organization. It was interesting to see the Munch buses parked next to each other in the earlier presentation, because we also launched a smaller bus, and a fully accessible bus in 2024. So we've been having that conversation as an organization. Oftentimes, we really rely on our relationships with educators and leveraging those relationships for folks to tell us, or families, to tell us exactly what it is that they need or what the child needs, and then we go out and find it. One of our goals as an organization is to really take that time and dollar labor off of educators and families. So if they're looking for something, they have teachers especially have a million things to do. We'll try to go find those materials that they need or connect them with folks. For example, we work with a local organization that will translate books into Braille. We have the ability as a local organization to respond quickly as part of our mission to be able to respond quickly to those requests. We can go buy 5 books for a very specific reason, or we can buy 5,000 for a larger event. So we do lean on our relationships and really try to figure out exactly what it is that people want, and then go find those books for them and deliver them. So.
So you are saying you work with the educators to inform you about what they need with regards to the books you get. All right. Do you make any referral asking them in specificity about if there's any kid or any child with disability that might need something? No.
When we're communicating with, I think when we're communicating with teachers, we do ask specifically if there are any specific needs that kids have, and that can vary greatly. Even just kids without disabilities, their interests and types of books that they need to read. So we do like to ask teachers for input before we go into a space, so we know exactly what's needed. And the same would go for when we work with DLI schools or when we know we are going to be serving bilingual speaking children, we want to focus on biliteracy and make sure that kids have access to books in whichever language they speak, if we're able to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right. We are moving on to agenda item number 6, report from department.
The update for the hub is still the same. It's slated to be complete here towards the end of the summer. And then my other update is, if you didn't see my email, I'm doing some outreach this summer, which within the neighborhoods to gather some information, some qualitative information for the update of the strategic plan. Those events include Parks Alive, which the city of Madison hosts, and I've been to the Allied one and then the one in Southdale so far that they had for June. And we've actually had a lot of really good participation, especially the boards include an English set of boards and then a Spanish set of boards as well. So it's really great to see the Spanish-speaking community providing feedback and having some interest in what we're doing. So if any of you are interested in stopping by to see what that looks like, there was an email sent out earlier of dates that I could possibly be at some events. So, yeah, like I said, if you'd like to stop by, you're more than welcome to.
Jessica, I have just a comment. Our mayor and the alders are hosting listening sessions around the city, and I don't know if they've all been, I know of at least one that's been held in one of our healthy neighborhoods. I'm not sure if all the others have been held, but the first hour's presentation, the second hour's neighbors' feedback. It might be wise if you're free to maybe get to one of those up in the neighborhoods and see if there's anything. You don't have to go, but you're just asking for ways to get information transition back and forth. That might be one idea. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
You can look at the CCTV videos on YouTube, and the past 2 sessions have not really had, how shall I put it, representation from underserved or underrepresented communities. So that may or may not be a source of feedback that this committee really needs, but good to check. Is that all for report from department?
Yep, that's all I've got.
Lovely. Any announcements? Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I can set forward that motion to adjourn.
A second.
Everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 6:39 p.m.